Good morning, everybody.
Hey guys. Hey Ricardo.
Hey, Stacy. Whether you're in the meeting or online, you got two geeks here in front of you, ready to talk about some Microsoft Teams here on Cute for Teams, champions using Teams effectively. Glad to see you all again. We have been monthly, so I haven't seen in over 30 days, but glad to be back here in the June edition. I think we're in episode 137, maybe something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So good stuff. So, as always, if you're here live, um, feel free to use the chat or come off mute to talk about anything. But as always, Stacy and I will just ramble on about any cool new tips that and things that we have. I was thinking about talking about something we haven't talked about in this session in quite some time, which is workflows that integrate with Teams. And so I think probably a year or two ago, I did made a workflow on the fly here and integrated with the Teams channel. The reason why it might be worth doing that again is because these days, when you're doing Power Automate flows, even simple ones like a something that pushes into Teams, you get the power of AI to help you. So when I post this, I may have to go try to find the old one so that someone could watch both and see all the steps I had to do back in the day versus what I have to do today, and be an interesting comparison. It's a lot easier these days. So I was gonna jump into that, but again, if anybody came with a question or a comment or anything as we're going along, feel free. This is informal office hours, all that good stuff. All right. So we got um, our teams here. But what we want to do is go over to Power Automate, and we're going to make a flow that talks to our team. So I'm going to, in fact, let's see, I'm thinking about whether I should use Gene, who doesn't have a Copilot license, just to kind of, let's not get too fancy here. Let's just stick with Ricardo. So let's get rid of all this stuff here. And let's go over to Power Automate. So I usually like to hit it up from the waffle there. And yep. And then apps. So again, this is the new, for those, used to the portal that you would go to. This is kind of the new portal. It's got Copilot integrated into it, so a bunch of stuff there, but also, of course, still the apps that we know and love. And this is a little too big, so let's make that smaller. Let's go to all apps, and then I want to find Power Automate. And if you guys have any cool Power Automate stuff you've been doing with Teams, that'd be cool to hear about. But, this is what we're kind of used to expecting. Yep, he wants me to re-authenticate some things, and that's fine. It's been a while since I've come in here. So let's reconnect a few things. Hopefully this goes pretty simply. Yep, so reconnect everybody.
What's our security working for us?
That's right. It knows I haven't touched this in a while, wants to make sure I'm still who I say I am.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're good there. Typical things we're kind of used to seeing over here, including my flows, old flows that I've made in the past. Good stuff there. So I'm just gonna come to home, because this home page area here is where I can, get started through natural language. Now, what I normally would do is come over to create, And you can see your typical ways to start from scratch, or templates is usually where I go. Because again, what I was going to do here is you got a Microsoft form, somebody fills it out, and typically that you get an email that someone's filled it out. But it'd be nice if that, especially if this form is for you and your team, be nice if that pushed to your team's channel and got a nice Teams message saying that that form's been filled out, and even the details of what's in the form so that nobody even has to go open the form, right? They can just see all that stuff. So normally I would go in here and start searching for a template to get started. So I'd probably say forms, or maybe form, and get it to search. And I start looking through here. Basically, I'm looking for the logos that, I want something that's got a logo for forms and a logo for teams. Um, and, I'm looking, probably some of these would work because like this is add a SharePoint item and post a message to teams on a form submission, which would work. And I would just yank out the SharePoint part. Actually, here's one: post adaptive card to teams when new responses is submitted. That's pretty much what I want. I'd probably maybe modify something there, but you get the point. I would typically search through all these templates to find something close or what I want, and then get started from there. That's old school, even though that's still valid. But here, I'm gonna come home and just tell it what I want. Um, uh, I want to post a message to teams when a form is submitted. Natural language, let's see what it does for me. So what will your flow do? I just told it, and it's thinking about it. And so it suggested a flow. The trigger being a form submission, the action being opposed to teams. That is exactly what I just said. So this is what I want.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's got another suggestion. And actually, I think this is more accurate because the second one, I happen to know that I do need this item here, get response details. So this second suggestion is actually more accurate.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and say keep it and continue. It's making sure all my authentications are good on both those things. And I'm going to hit create flow. So barring the little template search I was doing there, assuming I hadn't done that, I mean, we're only a few seconds in and I'm like almost done here.
Mm-hmm.
So we got invalid parameters because we got to tell it what form, what teams, channel, all that stuff. So this is normal. So when I'm going to pick a form here. I probably got plenty of forms I can choose from. Let's go with this chocolate cake help desk user survey. I remember that form I generated using Copilot. I made a fictitious cake company with a fictitious founder and a fictitious image of him. He had a white beard and top hat. It was very cool. But anyway, I digress. That just made me think of a memory there. So that'll be the form that I will use when something's submitted there. So we got rid of that error. And this one, we pretty much just do it again so we can get our response ID. Got rid of that error there. And now we tell it where we want to go, where we want to put it. I'll leave it as a flow bot. And I want it to be in the channel. And then it put some other stuff up. So which team? Let's use Contoso. And let's use which channel. I'll put it in general. That should work. And then my message. So could be as simple as, just telling the team, hey, a new form has been submitted. I could just type that and hit save and could be essentially done.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to get a little fancier than that and kind of say, let me make this a little bigger for everybody. So I'll say form submitted, but I will put some of the values from that form. So coming over here to the dynamic content here on the side, we may need to make this a little smaller so we can see. You can see the response details are here. These are the different fields or questions in the form. Like, how do you feel about chocolate cake, right? So I can pop that. You can see it kind of puts the techie stuff up here, but I can come up here and or I'll hit add, pops it over here, and then I'll put a nice label on it. Their feelings about cake, right? And then it'll be whatever they respond. Let's do one more. Let's see, dynamic content. And then what type of issues do you typically encounter with chocolate cake? All right. So
Zero.
right. And that is too much chocolate. That's not a problem.
No. Not enough,
not
maybe.
not enough, right? Yeah. Cake problems, I'll call it. All right. So in this case, the team gets to know a form submitted, and maybe they get the top two things they really want to know about that. In a perfect world, it'd be things like maybe the submitter's name or something like that, because you really want something where the team sees it and says, okay, that's worth looking at to get the rest of the info. Technically, I could put all the fields in here, and not have to even go to the form at all if I did all of that work. But we'll just add those two. Okay. So we're pretty much good there. We've gotten rid of all of our errors. I'll hit, there's no errors up here. I'll hit save. If there was an issue, the save should tell me. Get rid of that guy. Flow is ready to go. I could do a test here, but I'm really just going to dive in. But the other thing I'm going to do while I'm here is also do an adaptive card. So let's search for adaptive. Reply with an adaptive card in a channel, I think is what the rest of that says. Yep. Flowbot, post in the channel. And this could be a different channel. I'll make it the same channel. Add the ID of the message. No, I don't want that. I don't want to reply, actually. So let's go back. I just want a good old-fashioned. So let's hit edit. Let's go back here. Adaptive. I want to post. Let's see. Let's see, what does it say? And wait for, I don't want to wait for a response either. Where is, see more, because I know it's in here. So I just want to post card in a chat or channel. I think this is the guy I want. Flowbot channel. It should ask me the team. Yep. The team was Contoso. The channel was general. And then the JSON for my adaptive card. Now, here's where I always stop because I don't memorize JSON for anything. So you think we're stuck, but to the rescue comes AI. Natural language. Give me some JSON for a basic adaptive card. Let's see what it does here. Boom. I don't know what that is, but I'm pretty sure it's right. So I'm going to grab it. I'm going to pop it in here. And then I can pretty much go through here and see where I need to edit. So you can kind of see, I'll make this a little bigger here. Type, body, and then text, hello world. And here's where I can add something like the cake form has been submitted. And I could start doing other things. I could add some of those field data and things into here as well, but we'll just keep it simple. We'll leave that alone. So we got card here. So now this form, this workflow is going to post both a message and a card into that channel. So
That's
save
awesome.
it.
No code, no code.
Right.
Yeah, just
Right.
lean on Copilot for the itty bitty bit of code you needed.
Yeah. In fact, the most techie I had to do here was kind of know the word adaptive. I probably didn't
Yeah.
even need to know that. I probably could have said a card or something. I mean, but that's about as
Hmm.
techie as this guy. So this thing says we're good to go. So let's go find that form. So I click my waffle, go to forms, and there it is there, my chocolate cake help desk user survey. By the way, this form, I remember making it again with uh, Copilot. So it came up, I just kind of told it what I wanted, and it came up with all of these questions. So we're going to preview so we can fill this out. So we'll say we feel very good about chocolate cake. What features would you like to see in a help desk system? AI helpers. How often you encounter issues with chocolate cake? Never. What type of issues do you encounter? I don't know. Just pick one. And please rank. We do some rankings, all that good stuff. And I'll hit submit. All right. Let's go over to Teams and see if this thing works. So if I go to chat, where my chat and channels are, I mean, my chat and channels at my Teams. So I'm finding Contoso and General, and it was there before I even got there. So here we go. The first one was the workflow sending the standard message. Form submitted, feelings about cake 5. I probably should have added stars to my whatever. Cake problems, it put flavor. And then my card. So you can see that's the part I added. I could have made this more elaborative, but we got a basic card. One might ask, well, what's the deal with a card? Other than it looks cool to me. One thing you can see here is this button, which I didn't do anything to, but this button could have gone anywhere that I have a URL for, maybe to the form, maybe
Hmm.
somewhere else, whatever the team needs, multiple buttons if needed, so I could really add some functionality then to this post. Again, no code, nothing fancy. Just let it's basically just editing, grabbing some sample code and then just making a few edits. And how much time did we just spend? Maybe 10 minutes to go from nothing to a workflow that has built all of this out. So I do a lot of forms for, like some of the orgs that I work with and things. Put a form out that anybody can submit, sign up for stuff, and that works just fine. But these days I always add a second step for myself of making one of these workflows, because it's just a lot easier to just get it in a nice email or in the team's channel, because now they're all, as more submissions come, they're all going to be stored here, searchable, all that good stuff. So yeah, 10 minutes and we've got this integration here. And in a perfect world, I probably would have made a channel dedicated to this form and named it appropriately and all that good stuff. And then once I do all that, and becomes this important channel where I'm going to be watching to see when submissions come in, I'm then going to probably go add it in the new chat and channels UI to
Hmm.
some cool section. Like I just said support. So now I don't really have to interact with this team anymore. Close all these teams. And now I'm just watching the support, waiting for support to go bold to tell me that this guy's got a new submission in it. I could have called that something else. I could have made that section be named, cake form or something like that. So we added another Teams component there, which is the new chat and channels UI, where now if I did have a dedicated channel for that form submissions, I could put it in a place where it's very easy keep up with it, whether that's favorites or something like that. And imagine if you have multiple forms, all with a flow. I might make a section dedicated to all of those flow submissions. And now I'm just waiting for that section to go bold to know that a form's been submitted. So yeah, if we were to look at the video from a couple years ago when I did this, I'm almost positive it was not as simple. And I'm
Sure.
pretty sure I didn't do an adaptive car back then because that was a little harder to do because
Mhm.
I used to have to go on the web and search for the sample content. Um, I think there's a dedicated site for some of those samples, but still, it was another step I had to do. So hopefully that's a wow moment or eye opener, making workflows in Power Automate and using AI to help, natural language there. I know it's a big deal for me because I remember the dark days of not having that assistant on the side there. So yeah, good stuff. And then that guy's just ready to go. So I haven't tried any other you know, things, get more complicated here and come up with something else. It'd be interesting to think about. I don't know if in fact, if anybody's got a workflow they use that integrates with Teams. That'd be interesting to hear about as well, because certainly the trigger could be a post within Teams that triggers something to happen, that maybe sends an email or something like that. So, um, and then, of course, with that form submission, I just submitted to Teams, but I could have done any number of things in addition to that. Stored something in SharePoint, stored something in a spreadsheet, uh, sent emails in addition to the Teams chat. All of those things could have been a part of that process. So that's the other value of these workflows. Even though the template starts with something very basic, once you get past that, trigger, form is submitted, get the details, you could branch off into 10 things. And as we even saw, I could have posted this in multiple teams and channels and things. So it's all about whatever your creativity or whatever your need, might be. So yeah, so Power Automate's gotten some fancy stuff over the years. Good stuff.
Yeah, I'm really glad to see that when I think back to my past self and all the hours that I spent figuring out little things that Copilot could have helped me with.
Yeah.
I'm blown away by
Yeah.
how exciting it is and how much time it will save and drive us towards more productivity,
Yeah.
a lot more efficiently.
Yeah. Because what we didn't even do is that's not just there for adding new stuff. We could ask questions about if something's going wrong, I got an error. I could ask it questions and it'll help me try to troubleshoot what's happening. Nor did we do any kind of debugging here, but you can see our this is the successful run here. And if we wanted to dive into the details of each thing, we can kind of see what it did along the way. And this is more important if something went wrong. Everything went right in this one. But we can see all of those different aspects here. So that is good stuff. Yeah, but I do like the look of the card there, and that's just the basic one. An image is another thing that could be added to this as well, pretty easily. Putting a nice image there, maybe it's the logo that the team uses or whatever that may be. But the ability to add these buttons to me is a big deal because now I've added some additional functionality. Back in the day, I used to put HTML buttons in my message here to try to simulate that functionality. So yeah, 10, maybe 15 minutes tops, and you could turn your one form into a whole process.
Powerful.
So, yeah, good stuff. Stacy added some, if you're in the chat, Stacy's been adding some stuff there if you want to learn a little more. So good stuff there.
Yeah, we were talking earlier, and that chats and channels unification is rolling out. It says June 2025 to GCC. So
Okay.
it's,
So any day now.
be watching for it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good stuff. As you guys probably have figured out from previous sessions, I am absolutely in love with the new UI. There are some that
It
that
took me
aren't.
longer.
Yeah, yeah. I
I
am
got there though.
fanatical. Yeah. If they take it away, I'll cry. There'll be tears. um, while I'm here, one thing I am noticing that is because this demo tenant is like no fancy internal tenant. This is a typical kind of commercial tenant, and I'm noticing that they got the followed threads feature in here. And what that is essentially so let's say you go to a channel where some conversation has been had, like this one, and I want to I
There.
normally I would say I want to kind of turn notifications on. Basically, I want to keep up with this specific conversation. Give me alerts when new things are added here, and that used to be, there was a notification button, and then you're basically telling it what to do. Sometimes it was, tell me anytime anybody says anything, or maybe just new posts, all that good stuff. Well, now it's follow thread. So I've just done that here, and you see it says you're following this thread. When there's an update, it'll show in your followed threads. My followed threads are here under the mentions, and where is my thread? Oh, it's probably it. There's no new mentions and no new stuff. That's why that's not showing there. But if something new happened in that thread, then I've got one single place for all the threads or conversations that I'm following. So that's kind of cool, because the previous functionality of just modifying notifications on that thread, on that conversation, was fine, but there was no single pane of glass like this for all the conversations that I might be following across all my teams. So now they're all in one place, maybe a little more intuitive with this concept of followed threads versus just notifications being turned on for those threads that would then show up in my activity along with all the other noise that might be in my activity feed. So so this is nice. So I've even just now, I've just started using that even myself, and I was just surprised that it's found its way so quickly into um, the client here. I did do an update just before starting up this meeting. So I don't know if that, I'm suspecting that it came as a result of that update. So that was literally just 30 minutes ago. So
Glenn
something,
threw a question in the chat there,
yeah.
Ricardo, about bookings versus meeting schedule via calendar, which I think is interesting. He's just asking what our thoughts are about
Mhm.
those two, and I, I'm. It's interesting because I think it's like bookings when you have a number of resources that could step in based on their schedule. I think bookings wins every time. When you're talking about one individual and having their time available for scheduling a meeting, then you don't necessarily need bookings. But
Yeah.
any thoughts on that?
Yeah, to me, bookings is a feature that gives more power to the outside person to meet with
Mhm.
me and or my team, versus meeting scheduling with the calendar is me on my end having the power to make a meeting, see other people's calendars, and create it that way. So I kind of see them as having separate uh,
Use
purposes or
cases,
goals.
right?
Yeah, yeah. I find, I know there's a full-blown bookings functionality, especially for, like agencies that want to have a way for their external folks to interact. For
Hmm.
me, bookings shows up by way of, as you can see from my signature here, I put book a meeting with me in my signature, which then takes anybody. They don't even have to be um, a O365
Internal,
user,
external,
internal,
right?
external, to this booking page. And they can get 30 or an hour with me based on my calendar. And so, and obviously this is the demo. No, this isn't the demo. This is my real calendar. So you can see for today, for instance, the person would know I really only have 4 o'clock or 4:30 to book anything, or at least 30 minutes. If you wanted an hour, then I've only got one option. So this is super nice, without me having to share my calendar or have to go back and forth on giving someone, hey, well, I'm available these days, these days. They come here and without knowing the details of my calendar can see my availability on any given day. So this has been very helpful. And because you don't have to depend on visibility of internal calendars. So it's almost like publishing your calendar, but without the details and with a very streamlined UI for that person. That's so obviously you can see within seconds that person could get something scheduled with me, book it.
And there's workflow in the background that
Right.
gives you power as the booking
Yep. Yep.
booked resource
Yep.
to be aware.
Yep. It would show up on my calendar and then I could manage it from there. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of this guy.
So yeah, it depends, but bookings definitely meets many use cases for lighter touch organization of the meetings. So hopefully that was helpful for Glenn.
Yep. Good stuff. Thank you, Glenn. Well, we hope this was helpful. As always, chatting through Teams things. It's good times. So glad you guys showed up and came with questions and all that good stuff. And we'll keep it going. See everybody in July. Again, likely somewhere around the mid July area. Just watch out at ak.ms/cute for Teams to see when the next meeting will be. I will update the date, and the link is always the same, so we're good from there. All right.
All right.
Cool. It's good to virtually see everybody, and we'll check you out next month. All right.
Thanks, Ricardo.
Thanks, Stacy.
Good to be here, guys. Take care.